we appreciate you for getting us to 900 subscribers. So amazing there. But let's set a new target for this video right now. We're on what 905. If you can get us to 920 by the end of Saturday, that would be amazing. And also, I'm going to put a like target of 40 there, guys. So if you can hit the like target of 40 for the algorithm, that would really, really help us too.
Also, I just want to bring this up too. We've seen the data and analytics. We don't really do this stuff very often, but we went in. 80% of the people watching our videos aren't subscribed. If that's you, do me and James a favor, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. Anyway, onto the video. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are, game week 8, and James, we talked such a big game week 5. We talked such a big game week 6. Man, did we let ourselves down in game week 7.
Damn!
Those of you watching, you can see how we did. I'm just going to hold my hands up straight away before we talk about James's performance. Guys, I got 2 results right. And I do not feel great about the fact that I got the correct score in one game when I got 8 of the games wrong. And also, very quickly, just a little bit of housekeeping as well. Luckily, Tom Harris pointed this out. I put the Brentford-Everton score the wrong way round and gave myself a point. That has now been corrected. So I've lost a point because I put it in wrong. I do apologize about that. Thank you guys for keeping me honest. James, couple of crazy results. Obviously, Spurs, Liverpool, we could get into. The Villa, Brighton 6-1 to talk about. What's kind of the big standout for you in game week 7?
Oh, without a doubt, Wolves beating Manchester City. I remember, when we were doing the predictions for it, I said, my gut saying, James, do what you usually do and just go rogue. And I just said, you know what, let me just be safe because of what happened, in last week. So I played it safe, but usually I don't, and it's disappointing because, if we record this straight after the Newcastle game, I would have been going for it there. Also, I feel like the Liverpool one is a bit of an anomaly. What happened in the game, the events in the game. Jack, you were probably right overall, and I was probably right overall because I had Liverpool. Jack, did you have Liverpool winning in that game?
Yeah, 3-2.
If it wasn't for the fact of the stupid VAR stuff, one of us would have been correct in that situation there. And then, yeah, the rest of it is a bit mad. No one's seen Aston Villa winning 6-1. That was crazy. So
it was a crazy week. Definitely crazy week. I think for me, I look at
also Luton was the one that also got both of us.
Shout out for captaining Morris though in my fantasy football team instead of Erling Haaland. Happy days. Big thing for me, James, and I even said this during the recordings, I had 3 draws in a row, the first 3 games of the game week. That's not going to happen again, just statistically, so I'm going to start kind of rewiring the way I think. So obviously, after a pretty poor week from both of us, James, you do, however, get a 2-point little swing on that one as well. We'll check across to the totals. Obviously, taking a point off me for the last week, you gaining 2 points, got kind of net 3 points you've got back. Tight again, I'm only leading you by 2 points there. So without any further ado, let's roll on to game week 8. Guys, you'll notice as well, and we'll get this one out of the way very, very quickly, we do have the game week 2 matchup of Luton versus Burnley, which we'll just go through first. James, Luton versus Burnley, you've got it as 1-1. Do you want to explain that one?
Again, to me, it's just really hard to split them. Burnley are a bit more impressive with the way that they played, and I've seen a bit more from them. But Luton been able to be the first of all these, to me, all these championships to come up and be the first one to get a win. To me, is a thing that kind of just sways everything, and to me, the confidence going into the game, especially at home, fans believing. But I just think that Burnley's quality overall is a lot more than Luton, so that's why I'm just going to sit on the fence here and say 1-0. And plus, I also think it's the first time they've ever met in the English Premier League. They met in Championship, first ever Premier League meeting. So yeah.
Kind of special. Look, James, I think that they're going to get a big shot of confidence from that game the week before and being able to get that win. I think that especially when you're down the bottom of the table, and we see even from the likes of a team like Chelsea tonight, if you can just put a win together, you jump up, especially this early in the season, you're jumping up multiple spaces in the table. And for a team like Luton, it's all doom and gloom. You're definitely going to get relegated. You get a win and then you get a draw. You get a win and you back that up with another win against a team like Burnley at home. You know, you could think, oh my God, we're going to be in this league next year, and your mindset will start to change. So I think this will bring a bit of momentum. So I am just going with the 2-1. However, as we get into the proper game week 8, Luton at home, getting Spurs into town. James, I don't think it's going to be the same story. Spurs seem pretty good. They got kind of lucky at the weekend. Let's call it what it is. They got kind of lucky. But I do think the Spurs team just massively outclassed Luton Town. Maybe they can get something, either a consolation or a nice early goal. But this Spurs team, 2-3 times the team this Luton Town team are, convincing away win for Spurs. You've got it a little closer.
Just people may look at Spurs and see that they're unbeaten and and Andrew's changing it. And granted, but it worried me what I seen against Liverpool. A 9-man Liverpool team in half an hour, Jack, they ran out of ideas, and just to me, the quality overall. Granted, this is a game that, Luton Town, you expect them, but I feel like it's going to be a lot like Tottenham games this year. It hasn't been all plain sailing like incredible football, Jack. They've had to grind out game. They've had 90-minute winners, and I feel like it's going to be that sort of frustrating game, and then the quality takes over James Maddison, a Son, and maybe a Richarlison goal that is needed. So I still see Spurs winning, but I don't see it a plain sailing game.
Moving on to Fulham, Sheffield United. We've obviously just watched Fulham lose 2-0 to a kind of convincing Chelsea team who, for the first time all season, outperformed their XG, expected goals. Well done, Chelsea. Look, James, I think that Chelsea got somewhat lucky, I'm not going to lie, especially away from home. I think they got somewhat lucky. That Mikhailo Mudryk goal was nice, and all credit to him. But I think, I can't remember whether it was Tim Ream or Diop just missed that header to block that pass into Mikhailo Mudryk. Again, if that isn't messed up and missed, this game is probably still much closer, and maybe Fulham even win. I think Fulham do have some consistency, some principles, and they're at home, inviting a lesser than team. I think that Fulham will be able to win this. I can see it being relatively close. I'm not confident enough in Fulham's game to have them scoring 3 goals past Sheffield United, but I do think they are a step above, especially at home. It's a 2-1 for me. You have a draw. What's your reasoning behind that?
The reason why I have a draw here is that Fulham didn't beat Chelsea. Everybody's beating Chelsea nowadays, and then you play Chelsea and you don't beat them, but granted, Chelsea are a good side. It's just, to be with Fulham is, I'm not sure what I'm really going to get from them. Jack, they've had some good displays this season, but overall, Jack, is the quality there? Have they replaced a player like Mitrovic? Do they have the goals in them? Sometimes they may shock you with a point at the Emirates or something like that, but overall, it hasn't been great. And also, Jack, in the last 2 games, they failed to score, so I just don't feel like they have the quality, especially going forward. So that's why I just have 1-0 there. And Sheffield United, I'm not sure what I'm going to get from them. I'm waiting for them to have their breakout moment, but especially with the 3 teams that have come up, it's just not been crazy convincing.
James, we'll stay with you on this one. We've got Burnley at home, but Chelsea coming in after that 2-0 victory, that clean sheet that they've got again, couple of goals, goal for Broja, goal for Mudryk. We've both gone for the same score, 2-1 away win for Chelsea. How do you see this one playing out?
I just feel like a win for Chelsea is massive. It's not really about the performance, because Chelsea performed really well this season. It's about just getting that win in like that win, a goal from Mudryk, Broja, who's had crazy amount of injuries. He's like he finally gets on the score sheet, and it boosts his confidence there, and just the overall team morale. Going away to a team like Burnley, granted it's going to be a tough game in Turf Moor, and the way they play is quite similar. Burnley are. It's not Burnley of old. They're going to go for it, Jack. They're going to try and play out, and I feel like that just might play into Chelsea a little bit. It will be a game of missed chances, but I see Chelsea taking a few more chances than Burnley, so I have 2-1.
Yeah, look, I've got it much the same way. I think, James, the biggest kind of red flag here for me, though, was seeing the players kind of hobbling off. Moises Caicedo at one point looked kind of dodgy. Did Mudryk go off? Was that planned or was that an injury as well? There were just a couple of things, and especially with the injury list as it is, you do have to wonder whether the training or the recovery at Chelsea Football Club at the moment is a problem, because there's a lot of soft tissue injuries. Raheem Sterling not starting, is that tactical or is that a rest thing? Is he suffering from something? But again, you make all the right noises. Again, I like the clean sheet. The talent is very clear for Chelsea, but are they capable of doing it? I think they are, but I do think it will be close. James, hardest game of the week to call for me, and it feels that way with Manchester United every single week, because every game they go into, home or away, I think they could probably win. I also think they could draw, and I also think they could lose. So it's really, really difficult for me. I've gone for the 2-2 draw. You've gone for a more convincing 2-0 win. How do you see this one playing out? United welcoming Brentford.
Sometimes the scoreline don't tell the whole story. Just because I have a 2-0 doesn't mean that it's going to be comfortable for them. Brentford are a side that can trouble any team. We've seen it so many times last season and also this season too. And teams coming into Old Trafford right now, they're coming in there with confidence, and then they're leaving there with even more confidence because they always take something from it. Bar Wolves this season, and also Nottingham Forest. But I just think, Jack, Man United need to win. It can't be another week of another poor Rashford performance. Yeah, another just lackluster performance going forward, and then they're leaking goals. It just seems every time a team has a shot on them, they seem to score, and they need something. They need to throw themselves a bone, especially away from home. No, especially at home. So I just see them. I say this, and then they'll probably lose again. But I'm going to back United, which is I want them to lose. I'm going to back them.
I can see an early Brentford goal. I can see United comeback. I can see Brentford scoring straight away after, and I could see a United scramble at the end for 2-2. To me, it's kind of the story of them over the last year and a half here. They've signed this guy Rasmus Højlund, who, James, has looked pretty good, but he's not being fed because there's an underperforming Marcus Rashford who doesn't really seem to create chances for his striker. He seems to be kind of solely orientated on his kind of goal output. They've got other problems in the wing position with Jadon Sancho and Anthony and all this kind of stuff. There's injuries in the defence. I just don't know what I'm going to get for them. But what I do know is that I always underestimate Brentford and that Manchester United are always capable of doing something. So again, I'm kind of throwing what at the wall and seeing what sticks. But I feel really good about 2-2. And James, you'll notice my first draw. I'm going to try and avoid draws unless I have a really, really good feeling about it. We'll stay with me on this one. Everton, Bournemouth. Kind of a tricky game for me to call. I'm just going on the basis here that Everton seem to have something rolling. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is putting performances together and remaining fit over consistent amount of games, which I like and which I think is good. And again, Bournemouth, there's just a little bit of a struggle. I was very optimistic about Iraola, and I do think that he'll be capable of pulling off some upsets, but I think that Sean Dyche and Everton have enough rolling here, maybe to avoid relegation and just pick up the wins that they need to. Be hard to beat, away from home when they want to be. Again, they're never going to blow any team out. If they ever win a game by multiple goals, I think it will be a rarity, although we've seen it recently. So to me, 2-1 I think is about the right scoreline for Everton at home against Bournemouth. You have Bournemouth picking up the win. What's your rationale behind that?
Bournemouth have won 4 out of their last three out of their last 4 games against Everton. Granted, that's been spread out due to the fact they've been relegated. But you're thinking Everton's going to kick on after that Brentford game, and then Jack, they lose to Luton, and we thought every team beats Luton, and especially Jack, they lost to Luton at home is an absolute shock, and I just don't know what I'm going to get from them. Well, Bournemouth, on the other hand, I have a bit more security about them. And Jack, that might be weird to say. That's Everton, big. I don't know what I'm going to get for Everton because Jack, you mentioned Dominic Calvert-Lewin, cool striker, but he can't stay fit. No. And even if he does stay fit, when he didn't get on his goal streak, because that's all also an issue there. Offensively, there's not much going forward. They just seem to be heavily relying on set pieces, and I don't know. I'm just feeling going for the other team here. So Bournemouth, you got me in this situation.
Look, I'm with you. It's definitely a harder game of the week to pick for. And Bournemouth are kind of making more from more, and you got to give them credit. Sorry, more from less, and you got to give them credit for squeezing as much out of that stone as they can. Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest. James, Crystal Palace are like quietly quite good and have quietly some quite dangerous players. I think we were all a little bit worried, or at least I certainly was, with Roy Hodgson again. Are they ever going to fall off? No. But are they ever going to be that good? No. Zaha leaving, how much of an issue is that going to be? But, people have stepped up. Eze has stepped up. Jordan Ayew, I feel like I'm seeing some of the best, years of this year, maybe one of the best years of his career so far. I'm seeing him as a real threat and a real danger. Midfield seems to be clicking, defensively very, very solid as well and to be relied upon. So to me, that all points to Palace, especially at home, picking up this victory. I know Forest can be dangerous, but again, I feel like I'm going to say this until I don't feel this way. Lack of cohesion at Nottingham Forest is always going to put me off away from home.
Interestingly, look, Jack, they played 6 times in the Premier League. Granted, this has been from 2000 all the way to 1995. Crystal Palace have never beaten Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. So if you do predict that right, this is going to be their first ever victory here. Me just looking at last season's game, Jack, 1-1 and 1-0 Nottingham Forest. Been a low-scoring game, and this season for both teams, like, it hasn't been a crazy start to the season. It hasn't really been in like Sparta. Both teams had some decent results, like Nottingham Forest being able to beat Chelsea, and Crystal Palace being able to go away to Old Trafford and win. So they've had some big victories this season. But I just see this just being a game. I know it's a 5:30 game, but it's just the one where both teams are a bit cautious, not sure will I go for it, and like when they go, the quality just not being there in the final third. And I'm going to sit on the fence here and say 0-0. This might be my first 0-0 of the season, Jack.
Yeah,
might be the first one I predicted. I don't predict too many of these, so
no, I'm not going to. Looking at both our scores here, there's lots of 2s, 1s, and 0s. I've got a 4 once. We don't really have any big scoring games so far. That might change with this one. Let's see. Brighton versus Liverpool. You've got some more goals in this one. I've also got a few more as well. Brighton at home versus Liverpool. James, feels like we've given Brighton some praise. You and I certainly have. And then, especially in Europe, there's been the odd performance where it's been kind of embarrassing and not what we expect to see. Are this Brighton team believing the hype a little bit and maybe falling off? And is it a good time to have Liverpool coming into your backyard?
It's Brighton, Jack. It's still Brighton. I get it. They're playing incredible football, but it's still Brighton. But the one thing that sticks to mind, Jack, and maybe I might just guys, I know I have Liverpool winning, but one thing that sticks to mind last season is that Brentford played Newcastle, was it Everton, and they lost like 5-1 or 4-1 or something like that. And the Zerbi in the interview said, "Don't worry, we're gonna go to Emirates and guys, we're gonna show you the real Brighton." They went to the Emirates, Jack, and they smoked us 3-0. So when they have these sort of bad results like they did against Villa, expect a reaction, and especially a big reaction. And I think last season they played Liverpool 3 times, and we're unbeaten, So it's a fixture that they've fancied over the years. But Jack, Liverpool impressed me so much against Tottenham. With 10 men, with 9 men, I was so impressed. Even with 11 men too, they were sensational. Mo Salah, we know your issues with Mo Salah over the years. He's shown me a different level to his game. Jack, this team can score goals, and defensively they were very solid against Tottenham, and I just seen that quality going forward. The Mo Salahs, that Darwin Núñez who wasn't there, Luis Diaz, who was there, Gakpo, like they got so much going forward. So I just see them outscoring them 3-2. But Brighton, De Zerbi said, "We will show you the real Brighton." So just bear that in mind.
I think it's a fair point you make, but again, you mentioned the attacking prowess there, and James Dominic Szoboszlai again has kind of come out and looking great. Again, you kind of look at, especially as an attacking midfielder, like the perfect Jurgen Klopp type player. This might be that kind of guy. And again, I think it's no surprise that it's working. I know there were lots of question marks and lots of red flags about how convincing they've been, but so far so good. And again, Brighton, there's a little bit of expectation and respect on their name now. James, it's very easy to play without fear when people don't have expectations about you. It's the mental side of the game that gets you down. There's a reason why really talented players go to very big clubs and sometimes don't succeed. It's less about your ability and the way you play, but it's more the mental side of the game that can get you down. For me, this Liverpool side are rolling. I think Brighton will put up a fight, but I think Liverpool will just have too much. And James, this is going to be a ticked off Liverpool team off the back of that Spurs game. And Jurgen Klopp is going to make sure that squad and those players know to not let technology potentially be their downfall. Put it out of sight, put it out of mind, prove who you are. So to me, a little more convincing, and 3-1 to Liverpool. James, we'll go with you. I found this very difficult to pick, so I'm fascinated to see your score here. West Ham United versus Newcastle. James has the home win for West Ham, 2-1. I've got the away win for Newcastle. I just think it'll be a little tighter. James, give me your breakdown of this game.
Both teams who've had like weird stats, to the season overall. Newcastle have won their last 3 games and absolutely flying. Jack scored 10 goals in that period in like half a concede. Well, West Ham in the last 3 games, granted they did beat Sheffield United, but like they also lost to Man City and Liverpool. But again, it is Man City and Liverpool. The biggest factor here, Jack, for me is that it is away from home. It is at the London Stadium, and I just believe with that crowd, and especially with the way West Ham are playing this season, I think they're going to be able to take West Ham over the line in this game. Jack, they got amazing quality, like James Ward-Prowse, like Lucas Paqueta there, and I think it's just going to be enough just to snag a 2-1 win against Newcastle.
I think West Ham have their biggest threat, of course, from set pieces with the likes of James Ward-Prowse, big, strong team, capable of doing stuff from that point of the game. James, in my view, Newcastle match up with that really well and will be able to nullify that. The thing that really worries me and freaks me out is on the ground with Paqueta, with Ward-Prowse, and with somebody like Jared Bowen, getting in between those players in those kind of half spaces. Is he going to be capable of doing something? Because the likes of Nick Pope and that defensive line, I think, will be strong, but is it going to be enough if West Ham actually start playing a little bit of football? Newcastle, we know how dangerous that they can be, and obviously I'm not too worried about them in terms of attack, but West Ham will nullify it, especially being the home team. To me, it's just a narrow 1-0 win. I think this is going to be a bit of a dogfight, but I see Newcastle pulling it out. James, Wolves versus Aston Villa. A kind of rampant Aston Villa right now. Obviously, putting 6 past Brighton was serious. Ollie Watkins, I think a hat-trick and maybe an assist or 2 in there as well. But James, Wolves beat Manchester City. So kind of clash of the Titans here, but you and I seem to be only thinking one way. You've got Wolves scoring a goal, though. How do you see Villa breaking down Wolves?
My thing in this game, Jack, first of all, Wolves are unbeaten in the last 5 games against Aston Villa. Maybe that should play into my thinking, but Jack, I've been impressed with Aston Villa the whole season. What Unai Emery's been able to bring to this team, Jack, over overall, and the way he has players like Diaby playing, Ollie Watkins playing, even Douglas Wheatley. So many players he hasn't playing at such a high level. And the biggest thing for me, Jack, they look so free flowing.
Yeah.
Majority of games this season, Jack, they're scoring 3, 4, 5, 6 goals. Jack, and they're constant threat in this game. But Wolves, to me, are the exact same thing. They're free-flowing going forward, but the issue is that they just don't take the chances enough. Granted, they were able to take the chances against the best team in the Premier League, but I don't know, in a situation where the team isn't Manchester City, where the stakes is not, if we know that we make a mistake, we're going to get punished here. I just believe that the guys going to be down a little bit, and the quality of this Aston Villa team, who's been fantastic all season, will show. So I'm happy to stick with 3-1.
Look, James, I'm with you. I think the Wolves team, it's kind of a weird, technical, they can play kind of team. They maybe don't have teeth, but they can really play. Again, I'm not going to bring up Sasa Kalajic. Hopefully Wolverhampton Wanderers will do as I say at some point here and give him a bit of time and a bit of support. But look, James, I think one thing that goes largely underrated with this Villa team is that Jack Grealish money and how it's been spent. Whether it's Leon Bailey, whether it's Ollie Watkins, Nicola Zaniolo, Diaby, these kinds of guys coming in here, they are not missing Jack Grealish at all. And you bring Jack Grealish into this Villa team, it might be a spot on the bench for him. So they're playing very well. Unai Emery is a smart coach and very, very capable defensively as well. So again, going forward, and especially into Europe, and maybe at some point a break into the top 6, top 4 places, I think this team could well be ready. Clean sheet against a toothless Wolves team, even though they scored 2 against Man City, and then a bunch of goals as well. I can easily see that happening. Okay, James, we see the stress, we feel the stress. This is this is the game. There's a certain level of at the Etihad where James might go, you know what, Man City are at home. They're probably the best team in the world. It's okay. This one really lays down a marker. Arsenal, the home team, Man City coming off a loss. Both teams playing in Europe midweek. James has got the Arsenal win. I've got the Man City win. James, I'm going to let you take it away. How do you think your Arsenal are going to do against City?
Let me just put up some facts just to get us going first. Last 12 games in the Premier League, Jack. 12 wins for Manchester City. Guardiola's played Arsenal, 14 times in the Premier League? Won 13, drew 1. He's listen, we are his, he owns us. City owned this fixture, but it's a different time. Rodri's missing. I doubt Bernardo Silva's gonna be there. The big one, Kevin De Bruyne is missing. And if you guys go through this fixture in the last recent years, this is basically been the Kevin De Bruyne show, just destroying Arsenal with goals and assists and just overall devastating performances. Those two are missing. Then the biggest thing for me, Jack, City have lost the last 2 games. When was the last time I could say something like that? Arsenal after the Tottenham game was a bit of disarray, being 4 points behind City, but after the loss to Wolves, this is a prime time opportunity, not just to take a 2-point lead over City, Jack, but to put a marker down, because to me, there's a mental block there where City know that, listen, when we play you, we're going to do our thing, and if we can find a way just to get that mental block and believe that we deserve to be on the same pitch as Manchester City, not only match them, but we're capable of beating them over a 90-minute span, is a big thing. The Emirates, we haven't been great this year, but this is the moment where, I can just see it, the crowd's going crazy, everything like that. And maybe a Gabriel Jesus winner, maybe a Declan Rice winner from 25 yards out, just something like that. But it's a must win for us. And I like to think with all the injuries to Manchester City that we can finally get that win over Pep Guardiola. So, yeah.
I'm going to kind of regurgitate some of the stuff that Gary Neville has said on recent podcasts, the overlap and that kind of thing for Sky. I think this Arsenal team, James, and again, maybe this is a conversation for another day and a longer video, I think they're overly emotional. And I think the problem with that is that, we saw it just as an example in the North London derby. Arsenal scored this goal, and then Heung-min Son just scores immediately. And we love the celebration. It's great. We like the passion and all this kind of stuff. But it feels to me there's a little bit of a cold, cutthroat reality that Man City have when they go into big games and being able to win leagues like we saw last year, that Arsenal don't have yet. And I don't think it's coming from anywhere soon. So as much as I think maybe Arsenal will get the lead straight away, I can just see Man City being more clinical and Arsenal being the more emotional team. What do you say to that?
I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's like, I feel like you do something that people always going to point out thing. We love when Antonio Conte was celebrating every goal, going crazy at refs. When Jurgen Klopp was doing it, patting his chest and going to the crowd. But now when Arteta's doing it, people are saying we're over emotional. I don't know. Maybe just people are just looking a bit too deep into stuff. Remember how intense Liverpool was at the time. Maybe Arteta's trying to bring that intensity to Arsenal, but I think it's more or less maybe not over emotional, but just the occasion. How man, you're right. Man City are cold-hearted. I like just cold-hearted in these situations. They've been there so many times. They know how to feel it. They know how to win these games. That they know how to fight through perseverance. They know how to fight through difficult times, and I feel like that is a big thing going into this game. But I just like to feel the pendulum surely has to shift at some point. Can it not shift right now, please?
Everybody at home, it the comments section. We want to hear your predictions. Tom Harris, I need to see yours. We need to see where your points are at after the embarrassing week that me and James had as well. Guys, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. And until next time, me and James, we will see you.